welcome to Artists at Work. My name is Ralph Hetherbridge.
I'm George Alexander Thompson, and this week...
It's this time. Why not this time?
This time...
We're having a podcast and we're going to talk about art and cocktails and poetry and moments. And we've got our lovely friend Fifi Homan with us, who's going to take us through a cocktail moment.
We're very, very excited. We should kick off with your news, probably.
Yeah, I have news. I always have news. I mean, that's kind of the theme of the podcast. I have news. I'm doing more paintings.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about your paintings.
Yeah, everyone's talking about it between you and me anyway. I'm using more colour and I use oils. And do you know what I'm learning? And it's okay. I'm enjoying it.
I was really excited when you first got those oils because it's quite a new medium for you, isn't it?
It's very, very new. I'm learning a lot, but the blending is so much more, but also it takes years to dry, which I'm battling with.
I've always found it really... Can you dry it? Can you dry it with a hairdryer?
Definitely not. I have tried.
Speed it up with a heat gun, you know?
No, I'm just learning that less is more, and I can use them like I used acrylics or like I used water paints, except they actually do have more control and I can do more with them, but it's a huge learning curve. And I'm fucking enjoying it. I'm realising you have more control.
They look really beautiful, the work you're doing at the moment. I can't talk about it, but it's very, very
it's all
exciting.
top secret. Everything I do is top secret. My other news isn't good or bad news. I didn't get the Develop Your Creative Practice Fund.
That is annoying news.
It's annoying, but I realised from talking to Rowan James, who was on our episode Hanging Out in the Spectrum, that you just do 25 a month and eventually you will
the
get
applications.
Them. Yeah.
That's exactly what Callista said when she was doing hers for her LP. You just keep with
going.
It and then keep adapting the
brief, yeah.
So it just until you get it right, and then when you get it right, they'll give it to you.
Yeah, so like if you're out there and you've applied for Arts Council funding and they said no, don't be dissuaded, is that a word? Don't be put off, because just do it again and 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 again, and you'll be fine. My next bit of news, I mean, this is revolutionary for me. Revolutionary.
What have you done now?
Okay, I really like art.
You said this to me the other day in a bar and my face fell off. I couldn't, like, we were just chilling out, having a lunch, drinking a drink, and Rod just turns to me and goes, "Do you know, George, I really like art." And I was like, well, yeah, you're a fucking artist. Like, what do you mean?
So recently I've been, in particular, really interested in Yayoi Kusama. And I was like, that was one of the first artists I ever saw when I was little. And I was like, that is captivating. I love polka dots too. And, you know, I used to, like, as a kid, I used to fill in things with polka dots, like colouring books with polka dots, just dot them all in. And then looking more into her work, I was like, oh, that's how she gets through the fucking day.
Yeah.
With a mind that is not fitting to, you know, society as a norm. I can relate to that. And obsession is a way of kind of connecting people.
I didn't really think about this until recently, but I suddenly remembered that when I was a teenager, I used to get A1 sheets of graph paper and just colour in every other millimetre. For a whole A1 sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And it was so soothing, and you just go into it. And then it's exactly what I did in lockdown. Mm-hmm. It's how I made those drawings. I just sat down for 10 hours a day drawing little faces and going completely mad.
Yeah, but it's how I feel about my camera, you know, I have my camera, it takes a picture, I change the settings, I do it again. And I'm like, what is this box of physics? And it's been my absolute obsession for fucking years. So much so that if somebody asks me what I do, generally I don't say I'm a photographer, because that's like my fucking big toenail. You know, I just really don't want to tell people about that, because don't you have that?
Well, we were talking about that the other day, weren't we? It's so personal to you that you don't really see it as a job. When people talk about their jobs, it's difficult when you're an artist, because you're just talking about what your soul does to exist, not what you actually do to make money.
Yeah, it's like talking about your spleen to somebody in fucking small talk. You're just not going to do it. It's really personal.
It makes red blood cells. It's really handy.
It's fucking great.
Gets me through the day.
You know, I've heard people have issues with it, but why don't we talk about what you do? And that's how I lead the conversations with other people.
Yeah.
But I've noticed recently that I'm looking at a lot more art. This was kickstarted by looking at an episode of Doctor Who with Vincent van Gogh.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I was like, oh, yeah, he's a really great artist, really tortured soul. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, yeah, art connects people. I should probably still do it.
I really loved going through. Ra helped me clear out, this is part of my news, but Ra helped me clear out my I mean, it was going to be the flat, but it was just the kitchen in a whole day. And we found my big shoebox of all of the postcards that I've found for the last
I really enjoyed
15,
going
20
through
years.
that.
And it's just from all of those galleries where you buy 1-2 postcards. It's like a huge box of them.
And really beautiful works.
Yeah. And looking back through them, you're like, oh, I remember that. I forgot about that. That was really important when I was doing that. I remember that one. But
they're like messages from friends.
Yeah.
It's like remember how you related to this and how it made you feel and where it made you feel safe in the world because somebody else clearly feels this. Hello, Francis Bacon. They're friends, they're companions, and they're a lot better than social media, making me feel safe and warm.
I'm really agreeing with everything you're saying, and I'm trying so hard not to slap the table.
Bless
you. I just want to be like, yes, I agree.
I've still been writing poetry. I got, last bit of my news is that I got this, I mean, I love David Shrigley, but I got this little notebook that says, it has always been a desire, on the front it says in David Shrigley's handwriting, it has always been a desire to write It has always been my desire to write poetry, but I find it incredibly difficult.
Yeah, but you've almost half filled it up.
I know, because I don't find it incredibly difficult, which is the irony.
Bad luck, David Shrigley.
But I've also, on the same day, I picked up a David Shrigley drinking water bottle and it says beer on it.
I have to admit that I never really got your obsession with David Shrigley until recently. And recently I've just, on his Instagram, he blows my mind with how cathartic and funny and
cerebral, obvious.
Yeah. It's really, really incredible. And it's actually pushed me to try and start putting some text into my illustrations, which I've really enjoyed. But I'll come back to that because that's part of my favourite bits.
Anyway, let's move on, George. What's your news?
My news is mostly work orientated because I feel like I haven't stopped recently. And weirdly, I mean, I don't know. Stressful is maybe the wrong word, but really, really challenging. Challenging is the right word. I did a job for Create 180, who we love, with Sophie Irish. We were tasked with cutting out on the CNC machine replica flags for all of the countries in the Commonwealth Games. Frank dealt with that. Didn't have to touch that. It was gorgeous. Looked amazing. Then we had to paint them all with all the different colours of all the different flags.
Oh, you can't fuck that up.
You really can't fuck that up. And you have to Pantone colour match them. So we got a list of 200 Pantone colours. And then we found this amazing company called Colour Match Service.
Oh, they sound obvious.
They're really, really lovely people. And they sent us all the paint, but it's all solvent-based, high-gloss spray.
My least favourite kind of paint.
Not our kind of paint at all. And everything had to be taped off with automotive protective tape, and then each section had to be sprayed on its own and then let to cure, and then the next section, and it was...
Jesus, you actually have to let it dry. Fuck.
Oh, you had to let it dry. And my little brain was I mean, we did it and it looks absolutely incredible and I'm really excited about it, but I've never had to concentrate like that on a job because
I'm so
don't...
proud of you.
Oh my God, I'm sweating thinking about it. It's a hot day, but that was a lot. And that was, I mean, that's out... That will be put up in Coventry on the 18th of July 2022.
Well, let's go and look at it.
So we'll have to go and see it.
I'm going to go and look at your
excited.
correct flags.
And then the next job I got was actually really nice because it kind of balanced it out, was at Rule One Productions for a luxury soap brand. And they want to dye...
Like Palmolive?
Well, I can't say which one it is.
It's not
top
Dove.
secret. No, it's a luxury brand, like a high-end luxury brand.
So it's not Lux.
It's not. I was going to say
Imperial
Reebok.
Leather.
What's that? What's
Imperial
the one I'm
Leather.
thinking? Radox.
Radox?
No, it's not them.
No, not Dove.
Not Dove. Really nice. It's like a really nice one.
Like Bayliss and Harding.
I've signed a contract. I can't say anything.
I'm going to name every fucking soap brand except that one.
And then they are doing a window display for a global campaign where they want to match their packaging colours to natural dyes. So I've been working from home in my kitchen,
with
boiling
fucking tea, isn't it?
Tea, turmeric, saffron, onion skins, like all these beautiful earthy colours, just making colour swatches for them. So nice.
You should look to a fancy paint brand that we never actually use.
Jackson's?
No, the fancy one that posh people get in their houses that's chalky and gets marked really easily.
Farrow and Ball.
Farrow and Ball, yeah, because it's a wonderful brand because everything is natural. All those pigments that they have are beautiful.
I thought about doing paint pigments, but they're doing it on muslin, like really fine muslin. So it has to be a dye because you can't paint it.
Gosh, that's interesting. But you're learning.
Bought a book. It's really witchy, making potions, stirring stuff up. Like it's been a really joyous.
You should talk to my friend and amazing artist Andrew Clewid because he's a witch.
Oh yeah, he always does stuff like that, doesn't he? He's all his Hessian and stuff like that.
Everything's very natural.
The thing that I realise I'm not great at is colour matching stuff, and it's very difficult.
Remember, I shamed you with purple.
Oh no, it's awful. It's awful. I don't see it in the same way as you do. And when you're literally counting strands of saffron into a pot, and it comes out 2 shades darker than it needs to be, and there's also like a pound of onion skins in it, you're like, well, it's not an easy adjustment to make. You just have to spend another 2 hours getting it right. So that's also been quite challenging.
I like that you're learning. Challenging.
Well, sure. And I think I did have another. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been planning our wedding, which is, huge. I mean, just not stressful at all. That's just like a really relaxed,
huge.
Situation.
I'd say for in comparison to, the layman, people that work in events, it actually probably is a lot less stressful.
Well, I genuinely thought that I would nail it because it would be easy because I'm an events planner for years and I know how to do all that stuff.
Did you sit around not doing it because you know how to do it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when it's personal to you, you do, like massively. I was like, please, I've done parties in 3 weeks. Who needs 6 months? And now it's 6 weeks away. And I'm like, oh no, you do need 6 months. And now I'll never get the time back. I'll never get it back. So I was actually saying earlier, I couldn't sleep last night because I was just lying in bed thinking about table decorations and candles and drinks and what we're going to do and what time and all of this. And I was really fidgety. And I just said to Al, I was like, I'm just going to get up and do this now. Like, I'll just get it done tonight. And so I cracked open a beer at midnight and just sat for 2 hours on my laptop.
So much.
Just like, cross-legged in my pants on our sofa, being like, candles, tableware.
Here, look, I know that there's so much love being poured into this event. Like Fifi, who we have doing the cocktail moment with us, is doing a song. We're so talented between us and there is so much love for you and Al. It doesn't matter how it happens or if there is a fucking Hessian runner on the tables. We're only there to show you that we love you.
I think that's the main thing. I think that's because I do believe that the wedding industry at large can be a money trap.
Really?
And we don't really. And we don't have heaps of money. And so at the end of the day, we've got the people we've invited, booze and food and a venue. And that at the base is enough to create a party. So everything else is an additional.
Yeah.
But it's less, because that side of stuff, the creative side of stuff is actually quite easy. It's more the bit that panics me is the timings. Because everything does have to run to a schedule and I'm not a schedule human.
Have you got a stage manager for the day? Production manager?
No, kind of. I mean,
I'd put that first. No, don't put me. Don't put me doing that because I'm wearing a fucking plastic dress. So I don't need to sweat. Can we just talk about it? Wolf and Badger, right? Just go to Google. Wolf and Badger metallic green dress.
It's the most sensational.
I'm going to be paying it off for the rest of my life.
It's gorgeous. Wolf and Badger do really nice stuff, and it's I still have to find my outfit. That was the other thing.
Jesus Christ, George! Fucking hell.
Googling. Well, I was googling it on the bus on the way here. I was like, oh yeah, just do a quick oh yeah. I know exactly. It's really frustrating because I know exactly what it is. I just need to find it.
Is this like my wedding day when I knew exactly what I wanted? I had to get somebody to fucking make it for me. I wanted to be a giant humbug.
Oh, you looked amazing.
Thanks.
You looked amazing.
That was the best thing about my wedding.
I looked a little bit better than you. But
you did, but that was part of the protocol. Okay, so on my wedding day, I was like, George, I really, as much as I'm I'm confident, I don't want to be the centre of attention. Do you mind stealing my thunder, upstaging me? Do you mind just being the centre of attention? And you were like, yeah, sure, and wore a beehive and a Marie Antoinette fucking crinoline.
I wore a whole crinoline and everything. Every taxi driver that showed up at the venue was like, is that the bride? I was like, I'm not the bride.
You had a lot of bows in your very... My dad was so confused at the amount of... Sweet. He was like, I'm not sure. Are they girls or boys? I'm just not... And I was like, we're just all queer. And he's like, at least there's loads of you.
I'm looking forward to my parents having that experience, I think. It makes me nervous.
Don't.
But I'm looking forward to my family seeing
having sensible conversations with like crazy looking people.
Not even just seeing the breadth and diversity in our friendship group, because it's something they didn't have, and I think we're very privileged to have that diversity among us.
Yeah,
and I think
it was very reassuring.
Love it, but I think they'll really love walking in and being like, oh, you're like you said, like, oh, you're not on your own.
Yeah.
There are loads of you hooligans. Like, it'll be a
and
cute
not
vibe.
only are there loads of you, you're really well adapted at having a wonderful life and giving so much love into the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I am going to cry for a whole day.
I cried writing my vows. I don't know how I'm going to say them out loud.
I've written a speech. It's going to make every fucker in the room swell and pour.
Do you think
and
I should
laugh.
just get like Botox under my eyes before the day starts? Just like 9 a.m.
That's actually a really smart idea.
Just like, hi. Yeah, but then can you imagine on the day, like completely emotionless, just like sweating down my back with happiness, but also being like, yeah, sure.
Should your whole
whole
like wedding party, like the bridal party? I don't know. Are you the bride? You're not the bride. You're the groom.
No, we're the grooms.
Yeah, you're the grooms, of course. I always get confused.
I've started calling you my bridal party because it just makes it easier on the spreadsheet having the separation because we know where we're talking about it.
Anyway, that all aside, I think we should all get Botox for your wedding day. Brilliant. Done.
Well, I'm not going to say who, but half the wedding party already have.
Scandal. Hope they're not listening.
Scandalo. On that very celebratory note, shall we introduce Fifi and have a little bit of a cocktail moment?
I would love to.
I've abdicated my responsibility as a summertime drinker to the gorgeous Fifi Homan, who has joined us.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
So Fifi is a long-term pal of ours, musician, and also procurator of booze. Procurator? That's a word.
Procurer?
Purveyor. Thank you. Fifi, take it away.
Hello. We're going to have some orange wine.
Yay.
I don't understand. Isn't wine grape?
As in what?
Isn't wine made from grapes?
So, yes, this is common misconception. Number one, it's not made from oranges. It just refers to the colour. There's no oranges in it. It's just...
That's massively misleading.
It is, but it's because of skin contact. So it's also referred to, if you ever see like a wine section on a menu, not called orange wine, called skin contact wine, it's referring to this. Also, rosé is technically a skin contact.
What do you mean by skin contact? Like it's intimate?
Yeah, so with white wines, when you get to the grape crushing stage, you don't crush the grapes with the skins on. You're not kind of doing the maceration it's called, with the skins on. Red you do. Grape skins are where all the colour is.
Yeah.
So with rosé, it's a red-skinned or black grape, and you crush it for a little while with the skins on, so you get a pinkish colour.
Now I know.
And with
who's in
orange
charge of
wines,
peeling the grapes?
One man has to go around all of the places in the world, and he's just a mystery peeler. No one knows his name, but he
peels all the grapes.
He peels all the grapes.
What's his name?
Mystery peeler. No one knows. It's an extraordinary.
Okay, shout out to Mystery
job.
Peeler. Woo!
Shout out to Mystery Peeler. So orange wines are white grapes that have been macerated or started the crushing with the skins on.
Oh, I
so it's just a darker white, basically. But there are no oranges in it. But it's confusing because a lot of orange wines do actually have maybe not so much orange, but maybe some kind of tangerine notes, like a small orange, as you will see.
Would that be...
What's the pour like?
Oh, that is really orange.
Yeah, there you go.
That's an orange wine.
It's peachy keen.
See, I think the most misleading thing about it is the word orange also refers to the fruit and the colour.
Yeah.
I think there should be something done about that.
Well, no, that's because I can't remember the etymology of it, but that happened because of oranges and the colour and the way it was translated. I think in the English language, we didn't have a specific word for orange until oranges were discovered. We only spoke about pale reds,
Oh, like the
pinks.
whole... There was no blue, there was just white.
There was no word for it.
Yeah.
And then when we found oranges, we were like, oh my God, that's what that colour is. Finally.
It's all falling into place.
What is the actual wine we're dealing with today?
The actual wine that we're drinking is called Macurao, and it is from Chile, from DO, denomination de origin, Valle del Itata. And the winery is the Bodega Viña Luis Felipe Edwards.
Oh my gosh, we should go and visit them. We should
do
tell them that they're on the podcast.
Oh my God, wine road trip. Fifi, you can be our tour, and the
you
four
can
of
be our
us
tour
will
guide.
just
Drink our way through Chile.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm so into it.
Artists that drink their way through Chile.
With respect and mindfulness.
Who wants to do a proper tasting note?
Yes, please.
Oh, not me.
All right, don't smell it yet. Stop. Okay. So first of all, colour. Hold it up to something white, the nearest white thing.
Oh, nice.
And check out the colour.
The colour is my piss on a day where I have cystitis.
This is hangover
our
weed
producer's
colour,
using
for
my
sure.
white shirt.
Don't pour it on your lovely white outfit, George.
No, I won't.
It's cystitis. Am I allowed to say it's cystitis wee?
Cystitis wee.
You know when you just
You're not, no, do you know what? You're not allowed to say that.
If you tilt the glass slightly, see if you can. It's a bit difficult with these glasses and with not having something flat and white underneath them, but you can see where the colour disappears slightly towards the rim, which means it's light.
It's
okay,
very
now
beautiful.
First sniff. Please do not swirl the glass. Just hold it to your chin.
She saw me.
Like
she saw me about to swirl.
I can see you, mate. And as you're sort of lifted up towards your nose, and the second that you can smell it, just clock where that sort of happens.
Oh, it's about there, I reckon.
Yeah, so that is a pronounced nose, is what you'd refer to that. If you have to kind of get your nose right over it, that's a medium nose. And if you have to like swirl the glass and stick your face right in it to get any kind of aroma, then that is a very...
Oh, so this has a pronounced nose because you can smell it from here.
You can smell it from here.
It has a pronounced nose because my nose isn't in it.
From here is chin. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first sniff. And then second sniff, do all your swirly, stick your nose in it and see what you can smell.
Can I just suggest to the people at home that before they listen to this podcast, go out and get yourself a bottle of Blossom Hill or something.
So the top one, the first smelled a bit vinegary, but that smells really elderflowery.
There's something floral. Yeah. I'm also thinking tea, but that could be because I'm now thinking something orangey and maybe Earl Grey, and also it's tannic and skin contact and tea. But it's so difficult because your brain is so associative, or taste and smell are so associative.
Also, you don't practice. I mean, you practice this quite a lot, don't you? Like if you don't, if you're not aware of smelling, like you've got to sort of get into it.
It takes a lot of, and there's such. If anyone's ever seen, for example, there's a wonderful documentary called Somm, which follows 4.
Oh, I love that documentary. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Somm. SOMM.
Is it about sommeliers?
Sommeliers?
Yeah, and they're training to become master sommeliers, which is this incredible feat.
I loved it when he's like, "What, have you never licked a stone after it's rained?"
Seriously, do it to understand minerality.
To understand,
like licking a wet pebble.
Yeah, because I remember that from being a kid on the beach. Like, you know what that taste and texture is. It's incredible.
It's cool. But the way that they kind of, you see them just in their spare time, they all kind of get together because it's such an endeavour, and they all kind of taste together and they go, right, take us through it. And they basically run this list. Every time they do exactly the same thing. It's like up to the light, colour, blim, blim, blim. And they run the diagnostics. They're not kind of doing this like, oh, I'm getting this, that, and the other, and it reminds me of this. It's like hard diagnostics. You run the same diagnostics every time. And by the time, in the space of about 5 fucking seconds, can I swear?
Yes.
You've been swearing,
yeah. Absolutely.
5 fucking seconds. Fuckity fuck. They've narrowed it down by running those diagnostics, as it were, and they will go, ding, this is this grape from here, on this year, by this person, this was what was happening that year. And they'll just give you the whole, it's extraordinary.
It was incredible watching that because they pinpoint it on the map until they're like, no, it's not that side of the hill, it's that side of the hill because I know what the weather conditions were.
Yeah, the aspect to the sun, it's extraordinary. All right, so first sip, you are not going, so again, much the same as with the nose. First sip is for mouthfeel. Think texture, you're thinking of like the body, you're thinking the weight, you're thinking acidity, alcohol, tannin, sugar. Think about the texture in your mouth, not the flavours, if you can.
Yeah.
So first sip. Do the slushy stuff. It helps.
I would say quite dry, like quite acidy. It doesn't have from the. It doesn't taste as vinegary as I thought it smelled. I don't think I'm very good at doing that, but I like it.
No, I think I'm way out of my depth here, but I would say that it's definitely not going to foam up.
No. But also
it's the opposite to something that would foam up.
Yeah, it's flat.
Still.
It's still. I would say.
Oh yeah, I guess something that's flat was once fizzy. whereas something that still was never fizzy in the first place.
It's still.
Huh. I never even
Dude, mind blown.
All right,
and
second
you're right,
sip.
you do get those orangey flavours.
What's the second slip?
But I worry that that's because I've associated orange with orange.
Well, this is the thing. This is where it's a funny thing. But maybe, again, so not so much orange, but maybe tangerine.
Yeah.
Rather than an actual orange there. It's quite floral, something. And yeah, tea, I do feel something tea-ish.
Yeah, it's got that. It's not feeling, bitter, but that kind of under tea.
It is. It's got like a bitterness. So this is tannic. It's had skin contact, and tannin comes from grape skins. So it is a little bit tannic.
Fifi's talking, and this is all really, really beautiful. And I brought a bottle of fucking WKD Blue over.
I love that you did that. I wish we had it on the table so we could see the blue and the orange
But
together.
WKD is a great drink.
Thanks. This is delightful. What am I doing for the second sip? What am I thinking?
So the second sip was supposed to be flavour. So the first one was the kind of the mouthfeel, textury, body and weight and stuff. And then second sip is for all you're going, what are all the
flavour descriptions are really good, so let loose.
Go on, get poetic with us. Say something.
Oh, I'm having... It's like, right, I'm 7 years old. I'm in my back garden, and about 3 weeks ago near the shed, I left a Capri Sun out. It was sealed. It was like, the straw was in it, but it was still fairly full. And I was like, I wonder how long that's been there. And then I tasted it and I was like, it's been there about 3 weeks.
And that's what that is.
Yeah. Nice. Did I know? Is that what it is?
That's great. That was an M&S advert.
Am I a sommelier?
I love it.
Please get your master of wine.
You're a something.
I get the stone thing though. When people say, look, because I like a stony wine. I love
mineral.
Yeah, I like that stony kind of what do they call it when it rains? That kind of
petrichor.
Petrichor. Yeah, like that. That kind of like the earth and stones and rocks. Like I always love finding that in a wine.
Wet forest floor and like wet fungal like mushroom and wet damp and stuff are things that you can find with like really aged red wines and some aged whites as well, where aging is something where you'll get those. So I won't go into it, but there are all these kind of everything flavor-wise is split off into primary, secondary, and tertiary flavors. The first one being, what are you getting from the grape itself? So that's where all your fruit's coming, like from quite light to quite ripe fruit. It will run the gamut.
Nice.
And then the second one is from, second notes are from your kind of winemaking decisions like oak, like has this been oaked, malolactic conversion, which is where it's sort of creamy. That won't be so much a flavor as a texture. And then your tertiary are from aging. And that's where you'll get things like wet forest floor, mushroom, meat, all these extraordinary.
So we had a wine at yours recently and it had flavors of Ribena and Bisto.
What on earth was that?
What was that? It was really weird, actually. It was a nice bottle of wine.
Ribena.
It was very, very heavily blackcurranty, forest fruity.
Black fruits, but light.
No,
do you know what? I it was the one that I WhatsApped you a photo of because we had a chat about me not liking Pinot Noir, and then Ali, my partner, got given a bottle of Pinot Noir
or something. Have I gone mad?
No, it wasn't from Essex. You're right.
And it was
Essex makes wine.
Which means, is it from Bacchus? What was the grape? Do you know?
I will look up. Okay, it was called Black Book Pinot Noir, Crow's Land Estate.
Fascinating.
Trouble Every Day. Grown in Essex, the grapes are hand-picked and sourced in the vineyard.
Does it say what grape it is?
Expresses autumnal fruits such as blackberry, bramble, cherries, spice notes. Oh, spice notes is probably where we got Bisto from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be the oak, most likely.
Silky tannins
from
and
the wood.
But it doesn't say which grape it is, but it was delicious.
It was fucking delightful.
We're all being fools. It's Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir.
Bless us.
Wow, instant fail.
So after we do this...
I'm like, wait a second. Isn't it? Is that the grape?
Come on.
Well, tell me, what's this third taste? What's the third taste?
There's only two.
There's only two? So what do you do
then
now?
maybe, so then you would clock up all of you've been writing all this down, all your tasting notes, this, and then you would decide whether the wine, what the quality of the wine, basically. The overall body, and there are all sorts of, there's this kind of scale which is a bit exam-y, there are some sort of criteria that you have to hit, if you see what I mean. But of course, rather than it being personal taste, exactly, which is another tricky thing to kind of do it objectively.
I think it's a really interesting thing when you talk about wine, because there are, like I don't know I don't know a huge amount about it, but I have made up certain rules in my head where I really like New World, Sauvignon Blanc, like. I'm not a huge fan of Pinot Noir because I think it's more watery than I would normally like a red wine. I prefer a Bordeaux. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have a really good wine from anywhere and be like, that's a really good wine.
And everywhere in the world does all these things so differently. There are so many different styles for each. Like there'll be a Pinot Noir that is rather heavier.
But it helps you I think you've got to have a base level so that at least when you're faced with a menu where you've got 200 wines, you can feel like you're making some decisions.
Yeah.
We abdicated decision to the other day at Davies Wine Vault in Greenwich.
I want to go to Davies.
We'll take you to Davies.
Let's all go to Davies.
We just said it was a really hot day, and Rod just said,
I just really fucking want a really dry, very crisply cold Chardonnay, please.
So I went to the bar and I was like, hi, don't want to be a pain, but we just want a really fucking dry...
I want a bone dry Chardonnay!
And he just pulled out this bottle.
Maritime.
And it was...
exactly what we wanted.
I mean, it was next level. He fucking had us pegged. It was great.
Yeah, we paid
£17,000. But yeah, I would love to go there with you.
I'm sure.
It would be really...
no doubt. No, great fun.
We'll definitely organise a trip there.
No, it was lovely. And like at the end of the day, it is really nice to enjoy what you're drinking. And it's bloody important that you do as well.
Well, it's like
respect it.
Yeah, exactly. Like anything, you kind of... I was so surprised by this whole thing. This is me kind of... I did not retrain, but it was after the pandemic kind of came down. It was something that just happened after that.
Because you're a musician as well.
Yeah, and this has sort of come along, and it's like anything where you kind of see something and you think, well, this isn't for me. This is someone else's thing. It's pompous, pretentious wine. Yeah. It's not for me. This isn't something that I'm part of. I feel genuinely excluded by this. And then someone opens the door for you a little bit and you go, fuck, there's a whole room in here. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And like any kind of... And it's a room full of freaking wine, man. Dreamy. It's a cellar door. And it's, that kind of... like going through any, like people when they first start getting into fucking yoga and talking about actually finding space between the bones, and they're like, I didn't know I could feel like this. It's the same thing with like that sensation. It's so much sensation. You think, oh my goodness, one sip of wine and all of a sudden there's like a lifetime of stuff that's happening, and it comes from practice. It's like another thing that's just good practice and experience. It's so much fun.
I mean, we did this in lockdown. We found like a couple of wines that they were cheap and we liked them, so we bought them all the time. And it definitely got to a point where we were like, let's just grab a different bottle off the shelf. You don't need to know anything about it. Yeah. You just want variety. And then you can go, oh, I didn't like that one, I want that one. And then, you know, even if you're just shopping in a supermarket and not a fancy wine store, you still have choice, and you can still go, you know, that's not great, that is great.
That's grape. That's grape.
That's
more
grape.
grapes.
That's grape.
That's totally grape.
Well, on that note, can we all get a little top up?
Yes.
And
shall I shut up?
No, don't shut up. Don't you dare. No, you're still in the room. We're going to crack on with the rest of the podcast, but Fifi, you're still in the room and you're here. So laugh and join in if you want to say something, of course.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Can I just, before we move on, can I read out the name of the wine? I'm not going to be able to, am I? Masario.
Here, give it to me. I'll do it. Masario Najero Orange Fermento con PLAs. Skin orange fermented. There you go.
Perfect, thank you. That was gorgeous. And not filtered, so extra good for you.
Sin filtros.
Fifi, that's been really nice. And as well, it's really nice to have a mindful moment with something that you can just down a bottle of Blossom Hill. How about you just go out, buy a nice one, support good vineyards, and actually enjoy it.
Don't buy Blossom Hill.
Why?
No.
I think what they do...
I don't want to be a snob here,
not
but
being
also
funny. Not being
no.
funny. I think Blossom Hill, genuinely, conspiracy theory here, I think they drain jam through fizzy water, let it go flat, and add vodka.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. That's what I think they do. What do you think?
I don't know what I think. What I think is we should try doing that and then have a little
taste test.
Boom. Right, next cocktail moment sorted.
Okay,
done.
Sorted. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, Fifi.
Chin.
You wonderful mind. Slanja.
What's your favourite thing, Ron?
I have a favourite thing.
What is it?
Tell me about it. I'm going to tell you. So I'm mad about, maintaining my mind. Yeah. And I think she even says it here. This book is called Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? It's a new book. I think it's 2022. And it's by Dr. Julie Smith, who I follow their shorts on Instagram and like YouTube. And she just gives these like, hey, today if you're feeling shit, do this,
Yeah.
Pit stop kind of therapy. It's like therapy, but I would consider this book, Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before, to be mind glue for those people who don't particularly want to do therapy, or in my case, I need to do therapy to keep myself being able to process the world. I find it brilliant. At the end of every chapter, so say there's a chapter on dark places, she'll do exercises, how to persist for the long haul, resisting temptation. So it goes through grief, it goes through addiction issues, it goes through, fear, stress, self-doubt, on the meaning of life, on grief. I'm going backwards. On dark places, on motivation, and on emotional pain. And
that looks amazing.
It is amazing. And I picked it up earlier this year and I was like, this is fucking brilliant. Because I used to use this workbook called Mind Over Mood, which is basically CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, in a book. But it's a little bit cumbersome. And I was like, this, by Dr. Julie Smith, is an absolute weapon for your mental health. It's now my new Bible. It's by my bed and I pick it up nearly every day. And if I see anybody who doesn't know how to tackle their mental health, who doesn't know how to approach it, who doesn't think they need therapy or therapy's for fools, that's the book for them.
I think also that a really important thing to say there is that not everyone can afford therapy, and therapy can be dauntingly expensive to a lot of people. And just by flicking through this, I've not seen it before, but it is really beautifully broken down into nice segments.
I would say it's dyslexic friendly.
Yeah, completely. And it's got
ADHD
little chapter
friendly.
Summaries and tips, and it's really well laid out. This looks incredible.
You can flick and pick. And
can I read the back of it?
Yes, you can. Go.
The tools I share in this book are mostly taught in therapy, but they are not therapy skills, they are life skills. Tools that can help every one of us to navigate through difficult times and to flourish. When we understand a little bit about how our minds work, and we have some guideposts on how to deal with our emotions in a healthy way, we not only build resilience, but we can thrive and grow. That's beautiful.
That's the summary summed it up really well, funnily enough.
Nice.
What's your favourite thing?
My favourite thing's really embarrassing.
What is it, a used nappy?
No. I went to the studio. It is more embarrassing than a used nappy.
From your childhood.
I went to the... No, what are we talking about? No.
You said this is really embarrassing and I went down a bunny hole very quickly and I was like, most embarrassing thing.
Okay, well, read your book.
Okay.
And fix up.
There you go, mate.
Thank you.
No, oh my God, where was I?
You shouldn't have started with a cocktail moment.
I went to the studio the other day. It was a blindingly hot day, sort of 32, 33 degrees something. And I went to the studio to do some drawings. And I did a very beautiful watercolour sort of fashion illustration with a quote, as we were talking about David Trigley earlier, that just said, "Bitches, we need cream," which is a quote from me that I said when I was with my friend Amber and her mum Catherine in Selfridges, and no one at the Clarins store would serve us. I was very
in
drunk.
like a pretty
in a Pretty Woman kind of way. They just were slightly ignoring us,
right?
And so
but because you're a prostitute.
No, it was because I was absolutely wasted.
Oh, fair.
But Catherine needed some of her moisturizer, and no woman should be without. And so I just put my hand in the air, clicked my fingers, and said, "Bitches,
George, that's so rude.
We need cream."
Oh my God!
And these lovely women ran over and were like, "I'm so sorry. How can we help?"
And it worked. That's shocking.
Awful behaviour. Like so many regrets. But the quote has always stuck in my head: "Bitches, we need cream." So I did this drawing, and I wrote that underneath it, and I was like, "I'm really tapping into my Shriglies. This is great." And then I was like, "Do you know what? This would make a beautiful lino cut." So I got out an A3 piece of lino and I drew it out. And I was there for like 4 hours watching TV, zoning out, hot day, drinking milkshake, And I looked at it when it was finished and I was like, I'm really proud of this. And I quite often do this with lino prints, even if I've not started printing yet. I just flip them over, just it's like you're done, you're ready to print. It's like just a thing that I do naturally. And as I flipped it over, I saw the text reverse, because obviously when you carve into a lino print, you have to reverse the text.
Oh, bless your soul. Do you know what that is? That's karma for being so rude to those ladies.
I hadn't done it. So the lino print is the words going backwards. Wow. It's 4 hours of my life that I'll never. So I'm going to
sell it with a mirror.
Well, I'm going to do a limited edition print run of this like backwards lino print because it is rather lovely. It was that Chloe Wynn and Frank both looked at it and was like, "That's backwards, mate." I was like, "I know. I've been looking at it for 4 hours and didn't notice." But it is my favourite thing because I love that jeopardy in being an artist. I like the way that you can be.
That's what we do. We
so
fail.
Lost in your work, and you can fuck up something that you think is really obvious, and then you just have to smile at yourself and be like, "Well, it's just one of those days."
Dude, I did it.
And it'll have taken so much time. I think wine is very much the same.
Yeah, I got home and
all that time, and then fucking rainfall that spoils the vintage. And
stop! Weather just does it, doesn't it? It was probably because it was so hot.
An important part of any craftsperson's life.
It really is, isn't it?
Really, yeah.
I got home and Al was like, "Why don't you just redo it?" And I was like, "Not what I need to hear right now."
No.
It's 33 degrees out.
Yeah, no. I was doing the oil painting yesterday, and you know the way I'm used to using things that dry. I was like, oil painting, doing some detail. And then I realised the bit below that I hadn't touched in a week is still fucking wet, and I completely smudged it.
Oh.
That's fine. It's fine. I'll fucking do it again.
Do you have one of the sticks with a pad on the end that you rest your arm on?
Yeah, they're called mole sticks, I believe.
Yeah,
mole sticks.
Yeah.
Mole stick? Why mole stick?
They're for doing sign writing, but like, fuck it. I have a steady enough hand, thank fuck, that I can just go in like that. And that's not the etiquette. And if James Rouse, Master Scenic Painter, if you're listening, I'm so sorry because while I was painting, I forgot everything you taught me, and I'm sorry. Fifi, do you have a favourite thing? Is it wine?
Maybe.
Yeah. No, I don't want to put you. I don't want to put you under pressure. I don't want to put you under pressure.
My favourite thing is having discovered binding with tape, with K-tape. That's my favourite thing.
Binding with what tape?
Oh, chest binding.
Oh, chest binding.
Chest binding.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, our friends are like like Leah from Leo and the Drag Things that was on the podcast. Like so cool, like different colours. Nina Smith. What colours are you using?
Luckily my skin tone at the moment, which was really nice for me because it felt like I really did have a flat chest, and
I've never done that.
I'm fine with my boobs, really, but
isn't it nice to...
I cried a bit when I saw myself because it was kind of a moment. That's my favourite thing. Cool. It was great. Felt good.
Would you do it for me? Because I've never done it either, and I would love to take my tits off.
There is not enough tape in the world.
I would 100% spend some time with Len, they were the one who kind of showed me in this workshop I'm doing at the moment.
We have a friend, Len Blanco, who's a performer and a drag king,
fabulous
general, non-binary, brilliant human being who works with Shotgun Carousel a lot, and they're running not night, it's a course.
They're running a course at the moment with for Above Your Nerve. And there's a course at the moment.
What is Len's? We might as well say Len's Instagram.
But lots of people are doing this, and lots of people are emotionally growing from doing these drag king courses. And I'm so pleased to hear that you're doing it, because you as artist, and you must grow.
Favorite thing?
Len is
King_Len_Blanco. Absolutely superb performer,
hilarious
artist,
comedian,
wonderful. Really get involved with their Instagram.
And what they're doing at the moment is radical. Just by existing, what they're doing and what they're teaching.
We went to see them in Le Grotto, which was the Shotgun Carousel Christmas.
Bravo.
I mean, my brain.
I wept.
It was too much.
Oh, I've got goosebumps.
I couldn't.
Yeah. They opened their mouth to sing, and I just started crying.
I hadn't seen a lot of performance like that in a long time. Queer cabaret haven't engaged. I'm very bad at when I get into my sort of rhythm of engaging with stuff, and that was a really important one to go to because so many incredible artists were there, and it was,
look to Shotgun Carousel, because who they're employing as artists at the moment are some of the most important and historical for this time artists that I can imagine making stuff and putting it out there. Bloody look up Shotgun. I think we need to do a sanity moment before we do a poetry moment, because a sanity moment, which we don't do many of, we did a lot of them in the lockdown. Let's face it, we did a lot of them in the lockdown, but we don't need them as much as we used to because, well, the world's just a little bit less insane. This sanity moment is about housing. And if you're a long-time listener, you'll know that housing has always been something that's slightly bothered me and been slightly turbulent to me. My flat is being sold, and I went out to try and, I put my backpack on and my, handkerchief on the end of a stick and went down to the letting agents and was like, hello, I'd like to rent a flat, please. And they offered me a few, and I looked around and I was like, oh, I like that one. I like that one. I like that one. And they were like, okay, can we, how much do you earn a year? And I told them my humble artist wage, and they were like, oh, you're not going to pass any credit checks. Okay. So I was like, so what are my options? And they said, well, you'll need a guarantor. That's somebody that owns a property in the UK who earns more than 50 grand a year, and they must be working. And I'm like, I don't have that. So I was like, what are my other options? And they said, well, you can pay 12 months rent in advance. And I'm like, who the fuck can do that?
12 months?
12 months. 12 months.
Bloody hell.
Unbelievable.
And this was not an isolated incident. Now, before I got to this kind of conversation with them, one of my biggest hurdles was no families.
Yeah.
No DSS. I occasionally get topped up with the universal credit. And no pets, of course, which I just think saying no families, I think that's absolutely...
No families is horrific. And then also no pets. Like, some people's pets are their families. And it's, my mum would be nowhere without her dog. Like, she's on her own and she's got her dog. And they have a really important relationship where she's not lonely because she's got a dog. Like, it's fucking ridiculous that you would say that.
It's just dehumanised London completely. I'm in a situation where I can't move. I've got a son here. He's settled in school, blah, 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 blah. And I'm out of options. I went to the council. The council was like, that's bad grammar. You have a Section 21, i.e. my landlord has said, you must move out. So I said, okay. And I went to the council and they were like, Section 21 doesn't count because you made yourself on purpose homeless. You have to get them to take legal action against you. I'm like, my beautiful, I've never met her, I've never spoken to her, but like she's a dear old lady who lives in the Lake District and this flat is her
pension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need you to make me homeless. And I spoke to the letting agent and she's furious because I'm not the only one in this situation. I am not the only single mother in particular. That seems to be the overriding dynamic of this. I'm not the only one going through this and there's nothing available to us. So I said, after about a month of studying really hard to try and get a place for me and my little boy, and I've had to ask them to make me homeless now, so the council will entertain me.
Yeah, so that you can then get somewhere from the council.
Now, I don't get a house from it. I get temporary accommodation for 6 months to 5 years. And I'm like, what the fuck? I work hard. I pay tax. What the fuck? Like, how have I ended up like this? So watch this space is all I'm going to say, because I'm not having it. And I'm going to ask everyone I know to help me.
Yeah.
And you, because I have a voice. That's it. I have this voice. I talk to you. I talk to people that are listening. Fucking hear me. I'm going to change this.
Yeah. I couldn't bear this situation because I was like, come on, you're being a bit defeatist. Let's do this. Let's look at this. Let's do this. And I just, even the completely mad shit that we thought about, I was like, well, I could talk to my dad. He could be your guarantor. He's not working. He's retired. He can't be anyone's guarantor anymore. Like, it doesn't, even the people you do know with money and property in the UK can't help you.
Oh yeah, because like, I hope you don't mind me saying, you own a house, but fuck do you earn 50 grand a year?
Well, yeah, exactly. I have my house, but the way I got my house, I inherited a house with a mortgage.
There's a whole story behind this.
It's like a whole episode. But I don't qualify for that mortgage. So I can't sell or move the house, because if I sell the house, I won't then be able to buy a new house. What? So I just have a house that I can't sell because I don't qualify for a mortgage. And it's and believe it or not, Mama don't want to live in High Wycombe no more. So it's not going to happen.
Look, the conversation that has come out of this podcast for the past 5 minutes is horrendous, because if you look at something, I know it's a bit old and clunky, Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. We need a home. We need security. Yeah. We need a place to live, shelter. And I don't like how much of my life has been vulnerable And like, bless my family, they can't help me.
Yeah.
I mean,
the system's broken. The fact that you are living in London, you work in London, you contribute to the economy. You. This is the thing that knocks me off. You're a fucking artist. You make London what it is. The only reason anyone wants to be in London is because people like us and the people we know and the people who have been on the podcast are making art and are making it a cultural hub. No one wants to be here without theatre, film, art, TV, cinema, galleries. Like, it's just, you wouldn't bother. And we're the people being, specifically you in this situation, are being punished for doing what you want to do, bringing people incredible art, having a beautiful kid. Like, there is no support.
Well, I'm bringing in the resources, and I'm going to ask other brilliant people that I know to put a proposal together. And as I said, just watch this space. I don't think we need to linger in this sanity moment too much.
No, sure.
But it's...
But if you are in a similar situation, please get in touch with us, because it would be really useful to speak to people who have more knowledge, more experience, are going through something similar. You know, this is something where potentially there's like, if enough people are going through this situation, we could build a class action against the government. I don't know. I'm like, I was looking at it and I'm like, I can start with this, move on to this. Like, I'm pretty dedicated to people being entitled to a safe home. Yeah.
I don't think that's a crazy thing to
Boris
ask.
Johnson wallpapered a room in his house for £100,000 of the taxpayers' money.
Shut up.
An office.
Shut up.
What, that was paid for by one of his donors to the Conservative Party. Like, it doesn't get more ridiculous.
Oh, bless him. Do you know what? If I could...
You can't house yourself and he's got some nice wallpaper? What do you mean?
Oh, it's ludicrous. Look, we don't want to get political on this podcast. That's not the point. Something is happening on a very moral and basic level, and I'm going to do my best to change it.
Well, we are behind you all the way, baby.
Thanks. Poetry moment. I feel it coming on.
Oh, nice. It came in with clear. You read one and I will choose one.
Okay, you choose one. I've bookmarked.
Sophie, would you like to read a poem?
There's the Poetry Pharmacy there. There's Poems for a World Gone to Shit. That's public. I don't know what the name of the publicist is, but it's just collections of poems. William Seagart's Poetry Pharmacy 1 and 2. The guys are looking at that, and I am going to go to my own book. Which is, I talked about it earlier, my David Shrigley book, which I pour all my poetry in. And this one's called New Cross Gate, which is an overground station in the southeast of London. I was standing on platform 5, waiting, like for a train. And I saw a load of fruit at my feet, and it was all like smushed and rotten. And it had fallen from a tree, like a fig tree. But there was barbed wire all the way around it, so you couldn't actually like reach the tree to pick the fruit. But that's okay, because if I really want a fig, I can buy one from the big Sainsbury's just yards away. It's very convenient to end.
It's so bonkers, isn't it?
Thank you.
It's where your bookmark is.
Stop.
Well, I thought I made that choice. I was like, I just opened it at a random page. I didn't. I opened it where the bookmark was.
Okay. Well, I purposely put it there because it fits in with the podcast.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, oh my God, this actually goes with what we're saying. But you knew that
I curated that.
You're a genius.
Thanks.
This is for the condition of fear of loss. It's also suitable for depression, fear of change, and failure to live in the moment. And I love this because Kate Tempest used to perform at the Deptford Arms.
It's Kate Tempest.
Kate Tempest now.
Yeah, the Deptford Arms and the Bird Nest. Kay used to come in and do these incredible poetry performance for a night that we did called the Young Pornographers Broadcasting Service, and it was wild.
Amazing artist. Apologies, Kay Tempest. The days they break to fade. What fills them I will forget. Every touch and smell and taste. The sun about to set can never last. It breaks my heart. Each joy feels like a threat. Although there's beauty everywhere, in shadow, in regret. Still, something in the coming dusk whispers not to fret. Don't matter what we'll lose today. It's not tomorrow yet. Nice, Kay.
Thank you.
Thank
you for your being in this world. I mean, if you don't know of Kay Tempest's work, it's extraordinary and there's a lot to it. So pick up a book.
Yeah.
Pick up a book. Fee, have you found one?
I actually have realised that one of the few poems I know off by heart was in here. So I'm going to try and do it by heart.
Oh, okay.
Amazing. Love that.
A little bit of John Donne. No man is an island, entire of itself. Each man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, then Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thine own or of thy friends were. Any man's death diminishes me, for I am involved in mankind, and therefore never sent to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. By heart. Thank you very much.
Nicely
well
done.
Oh, you know poems.
I wish I knew more poetry any poetry by heart. I know
the first. So when I was in fourth class, and we had to learn that I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high or veils and has it all at once. I said, it ruins poems. Ruins poems.
Really,
learning it by heart.
When you're young and you learn it by heart, because I'm like that beautiful poem that I can only appreciate now, the Daffodils.
Yeah.
I learned it like
you don't learn the nuance.
They broke it down into fucking science. What a bunch of CUNTs.
Yeah.
I like that now. Yeah, I think as a child I didn't appreciate that. Yeah. And now I'm like, yeah, that's the way to do it.
It is.
Break it down and then you know it by rote and then you get some.
Shouldn't you get children to like go through daffodils with their hands and feel them and then like experiencing it?
But I would like to have a better memory for text. Like I think I do think I do think that there is, and the more I speak to actors and performers about it, it is a case of just learning the text and then playing around with it afterwards. Yeah. I always thought the playing around came.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point.
Learning it by heart is really helpful, and then you can.
Yeah, and then you can fuck with that.
Then you can break the rules.
Yeah.
Oh bollocks! Actually, maybe I do take it back because some of the paintings I'm doing at the moment, I wouldn't be able to represent them if I didn't have the technical knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I hate being wrong.
I do not know any poems off by heart, but I could probably do the entire Emperor's New Groove script from being a teenager.
Stop, really?
Let's have it.
Just like that.
Go.
Cancel your plans for the rest of the day.
Okay, it's going to be a long podcast. Buckle in.
We are out of time.
Oh, really?
Because you've got to go and pick up your gorgeous son.
Yeah.
He's such a button.
I know, I really like him. He's 6 and we play games together now. I don't know if anyone out there
Oh my
has
God,
a
he's
6-year-old.
learning chess. It's adorable because it's super confusing and he doesn't know the rules, but he also wants to win. So when you tell him that you've taken one of his pieces, he just gets real bullshit.
I mean,
so
I do that.
I'm sticking, like you're doing chess with him. I'm sticking to Carcassonne with him because, yeah, I know. Carcassonne. Yeah, Carcassonne. We're going to have a tournament soon. You'll be invited. Wonderful. Don't worry. So I'm folding up my books. Thank you to everyone who listens and continue, my goodness, to tell other people about it because that's literally all we have. The podcast community is now filled with people with budgets. So if you can help the small guy, help the small guy.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Get in touch with us on all our normal social media platforms.
Which are just basically Instagram.
It's just Instagram at this point.
Like everything else makes us angry.
Gosh, everything else is very stressful.
Instagram is at artists that are working.
And just as a treat, follow at Steve_the_orange_bag because he's a real champ.
He's your procrastination.
He's a tonic.
He's a tonic.
Yeah, he's just a bit. He's a bit of a giggle.
Do you know what everyone loves, Steve?
I need a good excuse to do more posts.
Yeah. Thank you for listening in to Artists at Work. Keep making, keep creating. We love you all.
We love you guys. That's
the Archers. That's not our theme.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Sorry.
It's just drummed in from childhood.
The theme, remember that, but no poetry.
Yeah, no poetry, but the Archers soundtrack.
The Archers.